If you want a badass, awesome pre-war Martin, there are ways to make your dollar go further. One of the ways to do that is to look for conversion Martins. What the heck is a conversion Martin? When I started working at the Guitar and Amp Center in 2005, we would have these older 1920s, 1930s Martins, but there was something a little weird about them and I never paid attention to them because they just weren't my thing. I was into shreddy metal stuff in 2004 and 2005. And what I came to understand later was that these were Hawaiian conversion Martins. This video is going to be me explaining Hawaiian Martins and featuring an amazing 1937 Martin 0018H. It comes from Daniel Riccobono in Austria. He's an amazing guitar player. He sent me pictures and videos of this guitar and wanted to ask for details, and I figured our conversation would be much more helpful if it was shared with the larger guitar hunter community. Please go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when more videos come up, because each week I make videos that make you a better guitar hunter who's able to find rad guitars, and with those guitars you will fill the world with music and friendship. So Hawaiian Martin guitars. In the early 1900s, there were two general schools of thought on guitars. There were Spanish guitars, which are what we would call Martins, or just regular steel string guitars. So at that point, Spanish guitars just meant steel string or nylon string, fan-braced, lighter style acoustic guitars. Round neck so that you could play them like a regular guitar as we think of them in 2020 terms. On the other side of this, you had Hawaiian guitars, which were played, they had high action, they typically had flat fretboards, and they were played with a slide or a bar. Martin saw this rise in the popularity of their kinds of instruments, and they started making guitars that were specifically made for Hawaiian music. These would be denoted with an H prefix on the model numbers. So you'd have a 0018H, or you'd have a 0021H. So mostly during the teens on into the 20s, Martin was making their own Hawaiian guitars, but they were selling them through distributors, through guitar companies. So for example, some of them that you will see a lot is Southern California Music Company will be stamped on the headstock. Even on the purfling inside and the bracing inside, you'll see stamped very similar to how Martin stamps theirs. You'll see Southern California Music Company. So throughout the teens and into the 20s, Martin was doing this a lot, but then you start seeing by the late 20s into the 1930s, Martin just started offering them directly. At that point, they are then full-on Martin guitars. You're not going to see Southern California Music Company. You're not going to see any of the other names that they built these guitars for. You will just see them take ownership of their own brand and start offering to the marketplace these kinds of guitars. But so they made these guitars with higher action. Regardless, it makes them to where you cannot play them like a regular guitar. But what happened is, in the 1970s, 1980s, you started seeing these guitars become really popular because they were really affordable. And so you could buy just a regular Martin Hawaiian version of a guitar. You would have to do a couple mods to make them amazing guitars. So first, they have bar frets. They don't have round frets like we are used to. So you would refret them. During that time, some of them, because most of these Martins had flat fingerboards like a classical guitar, it can be hard to play, stressful on your arm, hard on your wrist. So some people would also add a radius to the fingerboards, and then you would either adjust the nut and adjust the saddle, or some people would go as far as replacing the bridges, because sometimes the intonation did not properly line up by the time you would play it with the frets in relationship to the neck. But in the 70s and 80s, you started seeing these guitars all over start showing up, and typically they were much more affordable, albeit they were more affordable, but you'd have to spend a chunk of money to get them into proper Spanish style or finger style, bluegrass style playing guitars. You'd have some money in them, but they were a great value at the time. That's where this guitar takes an amazing twist, an amazing turn. This was owned by a guitar celebrity. This was owned by John Pearse. So Daniel bought this guitar for $2,900 at an auction in Austria. When he got it, it had an armrest on it, and it had a strange 80s style pickup that he wasn't familiar with. That's when he reached out to me asking, hey, what is this? What's the deal with this? Have you ever seen anything about this guitar? Does it look familiar to you? And that's when he sent me a video saying, I'm pretty sure that this guitar belonged to John Pearse. And check out this video. This is John Pearse playing this guitar in the 1980s when he's selling the armrest for his own company.
Just the curve of the guitars and press it into place, voila.
So a quick caveat, it is worth talking about. There are guitars, and then there are vintage guitars, and there are pre-war guitars, and then there's all of the conversation about what those are worth, who would want those, are they a good value for the money, and then you get into the added complication of this was owned by a celebrity, given this is like guitar nerd celebrity. This is like, oh, I used to see that guy's face on the guitar strings I bought. It's not wildly popular. He's not overly famous. He would not get stopped in an airport and someone wanting a signature. But it is worth talking about when you have a guitar and then that guitar is signed by someone or owned by someone. In this situation, it doesn't really change the value. With that said, he paid 2,900 euros for this, which converted is, it's about $3,000. For a 1937 Martin 0018H. I think that is an astounding value. His is also a shade top, which is really cool. It's original finish. It had minor cracks. The other thing with some of the Hawaiian guitars, you will hear some were overbraced. They were braced really heavy, and so some guys will swear that they need to scallop the braces. That argument feels like the same argument made as just old bluegrass guys that any 28 they're going to have a luthier scallop the braces and get them braced as thin as they can to get them as loud and articulate and punchy as they can. Most of the Hawaiian Martins came with just standard bracing because a manufacturer is not going to retool their entire business just for one small section of the market. By and large, these guitars inside the body, they are exactly the same with a few exceptions and tweaks, one being koa and the other one being some of them have shown to be overbraced, but for the large part, these guitars are dead sleepers. They're awesome. I don't know how many more Hawaiian Martins are actually still out there. I have a hunch that most of them probably are lost to time, which is unfortunate and sad. I would say the large chunk, this is my speculation, I don't know actual production numbers, but I think that the large majority of them that would be left, which would still be a minority of total production, I think that whatever's left over would have been converted. So I think that leaves a small amount of guitars that are still left as traditional Hawaiian guitars. But that said, if you find them, they're awesome. Especially when you compare the cost of a 1937 Martin 0018, just a regular one, is going to be $8,000-$10,000. I'm spitballing, but definitely $7,000 to $9,000, maybe $10,000 depending on condition. Because remember, I made a video about a 30s Martin that I found in Roanoke, and what were they asking? They were asking $13,000. I will double check and I will put it right here. But if you find them, they seem to be a really good value for the buck, and they also have an amazing history. That's the coolest thing, is that guitars connect you to people and to place. So you start seeing that how exciting it was. This is before Hawaii was a state. This was 30 years before Hawaii was a state. In the 19-teens and the 1920s, there was this just cultural movement of caring about Hawaii and being excited about the floral patterns. See when I wore this shirt? I thought it through. but just this cultural moment of being excited about Hawaii and the curiosity and just how beautiful this place is. If you doubt that these guitars are powerful, articulate, wonderful guitars, check out Daniel's playing right here. So if you don't even know about pre-war guitars, if they're something that you're not super familiar with, they're talking about World War II, and so they're talking about late 30s. Most people that are the real cork sniffers believe that 1936 and 1937 are the best years. I've owned a 1937 Martin 0017. It was a wonderful guitar, but I'm going to say I owned a 58 0017 that was almost identical. They were about 21 years apart. I thought the 58 that I owned was a much better guitar than the 37. It's a contentious opinion, I know. But anyway, pre-war guitars, you definitely should check them. Everyone should get to play one at some point in their life, and that is a harder and harder challenge. When I first started in this industry, you would find them regularly. You'd see them in guitar shops. And now if you go to Carter's, if you go to Groon, you'll get to play. Usually the ones with issues are out for just kind of general population to play, if you're nice and if you ask. But yeah, you should try and find them. I don't know where you would, but go poke around. You're not going to find one in a pawn shop. You're not going to find one in like a small guitar shop in your small town. Maybe. It's a long shot. But I think if you look around at the right places, if you go to like Emerald City Guitars in Seattle, if you go to, what's that? There's a great music shop in Austin. I need to spend more time going around to great guitar shops all around the country. Let's do it. I want to start doing meetups. I want to start figuring out times to be in certain cities to hang out and play rad guitars. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I'm Jeremy the Guitar Hunter. Please make sure to subscribe and like. If you want to support the channel, you can do that in a couple ways. You can go to Jeremy the Guitar Hunter. You can buy a t-shirt. The other way you can do that is you can head over to our Patreon page and you can join with me to help make these videos a regular part of your life and mine. I think there are a lot of amazing topics in the guitar world that we need to talk about that just aren't shown through other YouTube channels. That's the whole reason I started this channel, was that I started thinking about just the nerdery that I have accumulated over the last 15 years of really caring about guitars. And I just want to share that because what I have found is that it makes my life great. It gives me friendships, and it helps me create music, and it just makes the world a better place. So thanks for watching this video. I don't take it lightly that you take time out of your life and your schedule to watch these videos. I hope you go and you fill the world with music and friendship, because that's what guitar hunters do. See you guys on the next video. I'm headed to New Orleans. Actually, by the time this video comes out, I will probably already be in Louisiana, but I'm going to be in Louisiana. I'm going to check out some sweet guitars. I'm going to have some fun with my family and check out the Mardi Gras parades. I'm going to take you guys along to see some really cool guitar shops, and just there's a whole video that I want to do while I'm there. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys later.